Well, I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. Now it's time to put all the pleasantries aside. It's rivalry week. Some call it hate week. We're all about it. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Shemon, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So we're going to break down every rivalry here this weekend, every team, every game. Plus, we'll have our pigskin picks at the end. Hang on, a couple of surprises again this week. But the biggest of the big games this weekend are the game, right, in Columbus, Ohio. Even though it's a down year for Michigan, there's a lot at stake for Ryan Day. USC will try to play spoiler to Notre Dame's playoff chances. And there's a lot of pent-up hate between Washington and number one Oregon. We'll get to all of those in just a moment. But because we do have some Black Friday, Friday Night Lights, Friday football, all that going on in the Big Ten, let's take a quick look there. 6-5 Minnesota is at 5-6 Wisconsin. That's at noon Eastern on Friday on CBS. PJ Fleck's Gophers are playing some pretty good football right now. They're coming off that 1-point loss to fourth-ranked Penn State. The Gophers are bowl eligible. I like how Max Brosmer has developed at quarterback since transferring from New Hampshire. Darius Taylor is one of the great running backs in the Big Ten, and the secondary for the Minnesota Golden Gophers is one of the best in the country and the best in the Big Ten. Right? They got 16 interceptions. That leads the Big Ten, which leads me to my next point. Wisconsin quarterback Braden Locke got some accuracy issues. So I would take the over on 1.5 interceptions in this game. And if that's the case, the Gophers will win this game. Something to consider, though. The Badgers are the more desperate team here. They're at home. They need this win for bowl eligibility. I think it'll be a nail biter. It'll go down to the wire. We'll see how we pick it coming up at the end on Pigskin Picks. Elsewhere, the other Friday game. This one's under the lights. 6-5 Nebraska closes the season at Iowa, 7:30 Eastern on NBC. Both teams are going bowling, so that's great. It's going to be a good matchup here. I think quarterback Dylan Raiola and his new offensive coordinator, Dana Holgorsen, they come into this game, they're going to be playing loose and free since the Huskers got that bowl eligibility monkey off of their backs for the first time since 2016. They're going to be relaxed. They're going to play up to their potential in this game. Iowa is down to its third-string walk-on quarterback in Jackson Stratton, who's been in the lineup the last week or so. Cade McNamara still recovering from a concussion. Brandon Sullivan recovering from a bad ankle. The Hawkeyes will give Kirk Ferentz win number 204 if they win. That'll put them one win away from Ohio State great Woody Hayes' 205 is the winningest coach in Big Ten history. Remarkable feat. Hey, and let's not forget Kinnick Stadium at nighttime under the lights. That place gets crazy. Crazy things happen. So that might be an advantage for the Iowa Hawkeyes here. Look, on a holiday weekend, on a Friday night, everybody getting going a little earlier in the day, that place is going to be nuts. That's going to be a great atmosphere. I would tune in just to watch the atmosphere, and the game will be good on top of it. All right, now on to Saturday. Big Ten fans, they know the drill. The game, 6-5 Michigan, the defending national champs, the 3-time defending Big Ten champions at 10-1 and second-ranked Ohio State. The Buckeyes win, and they'll clinch a spot in the Big Ten championship game against Oregon next week. Win or lose, the Buckeyes are going to go to the playoffs. Got a great chance for a national championship with this team. But none of it matters if Ryan Day and the Buckeyes lose a fourth straight time to Michigan. That's just the way it is in Columbus, Ohio. Buckeyes quarterback Will Howard, He's taken offensive coordinator Chip Kelly's offense to the next level. He's done a great job. He was not a very accurate passer before he transferred into Ohio State over at Kansas State. He was a 59% passer. Now I think he's had 3 or 4 straight games completing over 80%. Guy's on a roll. He's got this thing dialed in. And Michigan has had a disastrous year at quarterback. If you want to compare quarterbacks, they haven't been able to find a replacement for J.J. McCarthy since he left. They've tried 3 different quarterbacks this year. The Wolverines will need to rely on the running game and strong defensive front if they want to keep this game close. Now, bigger picture here. Here's what's at stake. If Ohio State beats Michigan, it's automatic. Done deal. They will clinch their spot. They'll face Oregon next week in the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis. If the Buckeyes get tripped up here, if Michigan wins, it's going to be 2 losses for the Buckeyes. That's going to knock them out. They'll be fine for the 12-team college football playoff, but they won't get into the Big Ten championship game. But if Penn State also beats Maryland and Ohio State loses, coupled with that Buckeyes loss, James Franklin and Penn State will then go play in the Big Ten championship game versus Oregon. If both Ohio State loses to Michigan and Penn State should lose to Maryland and Indiana beats 1-10 Purdue, then the Hoosiers will face Oregon in Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship. Again, Indiana needs some help. But again, Ohio State wins and they're in. Oregon is in no matter what happens to their game against Washington. So speaking of Washington and Oregon, we'll talk about that game in a moment, but I do want to tell you this now. Locked On Big Ten, we go live on the weekends after the big games. We're going to go live after that one. Thought about going live after Michigan and Ohio State, but that felt a little early in the day. We've done it before, but we typically go later in the day. We have a lot of success, a lot of interaction with you guys on that one. I figured for this last weekend of the regular season, rivalry week, I wanted all the games to be done. And then as soon as that Washington-Oregon game is done, we'll be on live with immediate reaction and opinion and analysis right away as soon as that game's over and cover the rest of the games throughout the day. But it's great because it's live, because I get direct feedback from you guys on YouTube with the comments, and I give you my immediate analysis, immediate reaction before it even has time to digest right after that game is over. So we'll go live. I'm thinking this is going to be around 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific on Saturday after the Washington-Oregon game. All right. Love your thoughts on some of that. Hit us up with the comments. Also, if you don't mind, I would like to ask you to subscribe. I always ask everybody to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. It's just a click of a button. It's free and it doesn't require any other information. You can subscribe, share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. I get all of it for free wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're subscribed, you get our podcast as soon as they become available each and every day. Don't forget to also check out our website, talkbig10.com. That's with the number 10. You see the crawl on the bottom. We put all of our podcasts there, all of them in order chronologically. You want to go back last month, last week, yesterday, they're all right there. We also group them by your favorite school. If you're an Oregon Duck fan, go to the Oregon section. Find all the podcasts we did that featured Oregon, for example, Ohio State, Michigan, same thing. We also have links there if you want to do some Christmas shopping. It's Black Friday. Got some deals for you there. If you want to go get some merchandise for your favorite schools, show some school spirit, or buy a friend or family member who's an alum of a certain school, shirts, T-shirts, hats with your school logos. It's all right there for your convenience at talkbig10.com. So go ahead and check that out. In the meantime, I want to tell you, we've talked about a few teams here, a few big games already. We're just getting started. If you haven't heard us talk about your team or your game yet, that is coming because we do every team, every game. We're going to preview this whole weekend right here, Rivalry Weekend. Our preview continues. And later, we'll go on the record with our weekly Pigskin Picks. That's all coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. Let me tell you about the Game Time app. If you want to go to an event, let's say a Big Ten football game or basketball game, you need a ticket. If you need a ticket to an event, you need the Game Time app. Have the app downloaded on your device, your phone, couple taps, and you're good to go. You can get your tickets. to anything right there. And it doesn't have to be sporting events. It could be concerts and comedy shows in your own neighborhood too. Download the Game Time app, and you got their lowest price guarantee. Well, they'll credit you 110% of the difference if you found a different price. And they have the Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take all the guesswork out of buying concert tickets or game tickets on Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code LOCKDOWNCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKDOWNCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I want to thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget our website with all of our podcasts and your merchandise links at talkbig10.com. All right, there's another noon Eastern time game on Saturday outside of the Michigan-Ohio State game. It is the battle for the Land of Lincoln Trophy. Battle of bragging rights in the state of Illinois. 8-3 Illinois versus 4-7 Northwestern. That'll be at Wrigley Field. That will be on the Big Ten Network. The Fighting Illini are coming off a thrilling win over Rutgers last week. 3 lead changes in the last 3 minutes. It was absolutely crazy. Hey, by the way, is it just me, or does Illinois seem to have an inordinate amount of nail biters that go down to the wire? Just the last 2 seasons, it seems like to me. If they win, and if they get a bowl win, and they will go bowling, that could be an impressive 10-win season for Brett Bielema and Illinois. Coming into this game Saturday with the 8 wins, they get the 9th, bowl game 10th, 10 wins. That would be a great, great achievement for Brett Bielema and the Fighting Illini. Northwestern, they're having a down year since last year's 8-win season and bowl win. But there's still plenty of excitement, I think, around Northwestern, around the corner. Once they get that new football stadium built, that's going to be state-of-the-art. I saw some renderings of that last week. Man, that's going to be nice. It's going to be a little smaller. I think like 30,000 seats. It's going to be pretty cozy, but it's going to be super high-end. Be completed for the 2026 season. Mike Loxley's 4-7 Maryland Terps didn't quite put it all together here this season. And now they have the unenviable task of finishing the season in Happy Valley to take on a 10-1, 4th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions team. Hey, it always seems like the Nittany Lions finish 10-2. Well, now's their chance to finish 11-1 this year. A strong finish by James Franklin will likely land Penn State with a home playoff game at Beaver Stadium. That's what's at stake here. That's pretty exciting. And don't forget, this is a 3:30 Eastern kickoff on the Big Ten Network if you want to check that out. There could be some scoreboard watching here. The Michigan-Ohio State game starts at noon. This Penn State game's at 3:30. So that game should be winding down ahead of time. And Penn State fans are in a rare position of having to be Michigan fans for a day. If Michigan could pull off the upset against Ohio State and Penn State ends up winning this game against Maryland, then they get to go to the Big Ten championship game against Oregon. Hey, how about 10-1 and 5th-ranked Notre Dame at USC? That's a 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific game on CBS. No conference title game for independent Notre Dame, so this is it for them. They need to make their statement here and solidify everything. If the season ended today, they're in, no doubt about it, in the college football playoffs. They finish 11-1. They'd be a cinch to make it. If they lose, coupled with their loss earlier this year against Northern Illinois, I think it might be nail-biting time for the Fighting Irish. We'll see. Usually teams don't drop more than 5 or 6 spots after a loss if they're among the upper echelon teams as far as rankings go, and they're at 5 now. I don't know that they would fall out of the top 12 and out of the playoff picture altogether. We'll see. We'll see. For USC to say that this was a disappointing year, their debut season in the Big Ten, that would be an understatement. There's some heat around Lincoln Riley and his status moving forward. But a home run over the Golden Domers here, or home win over the Golden Domers, would be a lot to quiet down the noise a little bit. Streaky 6-5 Rutgers. They're going bowling. Coming off that gut punch loss to Illinois, where they saw the 3 lead changes back and forth in the final minute, only to lose with 4 seconds left on the clock. That was tough. Greg Schiano's team, they're going to be taking on a spirited 5-6 Michigan State team under first-year head coach Jonathan Smith. That's at 3:30, by the way, Eastern time on FS1. A Spartan win would make them bowl eligible, and I think that would be a tremendous accomplishment for Smith in his first year at East Lansing, no doubt. So they're going to, I think maybe they might be the more motivated team on Saturday. 6-5 Fresno State. They are at 4-7 UCLA at the Rose Bowl. That's at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on the Big Ten Network. Deshaun Foster wants to finish strong, as his team will come up just short of a bowl bid. But even considering how the Bruins started their season at 1-5, the fact that they even can get a 5th win is remarkable. So good middle to late season, nice improvement for UCLA. They'll come up short with any bowl bids and all that stuff, but we'll see if they can get a win against Fresno, which is usually a pretty tough defensive team. So we'll see how that game goes. And then we have a couple of Saturday night games under the lights in the Big Ten. FS1 has the Old Oaken Bucket between the 1-10 rudderless Purdue Boilermakers and the 10-1 10th ranked Indiana Hoosiers, 7 p.m. Eastern. Ryan Walters might be in trouble here after a disastrous second year at West Lafayette. Meanwhile, Kurt Signetti's Hoosiers, they're trying to bounce back from that tough loss on the road at Ohio State last week. The Hoosiers, again, as I mentioned earlier, still have an outside shot to, with some help, to get into the Big Ten championship game, although that would be unlikely, I would think, at this point. But they need to win. They need to win big, just to make sure that nobody sneaks past them in the college football playoff scenario. They're ranked 10th, but they're seeded 11th. Only 12 get in. You want anybody else sneaking up there. So I think they got to blow out Purdue just to reinforce everybody that, hey, they're good, and remind everybody that they blew out a lot of teams right up until, other than Michigan and Ohio State. They blew everybody else out for the most part, so they can solidify that spot and get into the playoffs. They don't want to get bumped by a good team and be on the outside looking in. Finally, the hate game, right? The 6-5 bowl eligible Washington Huskies are at the 11-0 undefeated and number 1 rated Oregon Ducks. Kickoff is at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on NBC. Big Ten fans who are used to the hate between Michigan and Ohio State may not be as familiar with this old Pac-12 rivalry now in the Big Ten. I should tell you, we received more comments on the comment section in YouTube with the hype and the trash talking back and forth for this game more than any other this week. A lot of it was not particularly nice. It was hate week. Anyway, I enjoyed reading it. But again, I think maybe a little history lesson for people that are not as familiar with some of these new Big Ten teams from the Pac-12 and how deep this hatred goes between Washington and Oregon. Of course, Washington won both meetings last year. Otherwise, it would have been Oregon in the playoffs instead of the Huskies. Both were 3-point games. For the Ducks, we'll see if injured Tez Johnson and Jordan Birch make it back into the lineup for this one. And for Washington, as I mentioned, on our Locked On Big Ten preview of this game earlier this week, if you missed it, if you're a fan of Oregon and Washington, go back and check it out from a couple of days ago on Locked On Big Ten. But I would not be surprised if freshman quarterback Damon Williams Jr. starts at quarterback for the Huskies instead of senior Will Rogers. Remember, the previous game, Rogers came out, threw a couple picks in the second half, and Williams came in and led to 3 scoring drives in the second half. And Williams has played. He's played in every game, kind of a change of pace guy, getting a little more action each and every week. And then their last game, it was against UCLA, right? Came in and did well. Jed Fish says he knows who's starting this game, but he's not letting anybody know. I think he might make a switch. I think it might be Damon Williams' time at quarterback. Husky fans, let me know. What do you think? Also, remember, I mentioned this earlier, we'll go live here on YouTube, Locked On Big Ten, as soon as this game is over for immediate reaction by me and by you. plus a recap of Big Ten Rivalry Week on Saturday night, probably about 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. Hope to see you there. All right, it is time now for us to put ourselves on the record. Every Friday, we always do our Pigskin Picks. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. You know, watching games is exciting, but it becomes more exciting if you got a little something on it. FanDuel, check it out. Get ready for NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place your live bets on the NFL all in one place. So you get a hunch, middle of the, do some in-game betting. You want to check out some stats, some scores. It's all right there, right where you place your bets. Same page, easy to use. So just visit FanDuel.com and join today. You get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch or make every moment more with FanDuel, America's an official sportsbook partner of the NFL and America's #1 sportsbook. Sunday Night Football, 49ers at Bills. Bills -7. Take the Bills -7. Now, do you know, because 49ers are all injured and all that stuff. This is going to be a bad weather game. It's going to be some snow. So maybe it'll be closer, but I do like the Bills at -7. You can do the same thing at FanDuel.com. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, let's take a look. It is time now for our Pigskin Picks. We put ourselves on the record. We do this every Friday. If you're new to us, we do features at the end of every podcast. Monday, we got our top 10 Big Ten observations. Tuesdays is Tuesday tweets. Wednesdays, we do power rankings. Thursdays, we do a look at Big Ten classics and live action on the Big Ten Network. And Friday, Pigskin Picks. Let's put it on the screen. If you're audio only, I will describe this as best I can. And let's start off with the Friday games. We got Minnesota at Wisconsin. Here's the thing. I think in Wisconsin -2 and the over-under 42.5. I think because Wisconsin is the more desperate team to get that bowl-eligible win, I give them the edge. Plus, I was impressed with their defense against #1 Oregon a couple of weeks ago. Otherwise, I would have no problem picking Minnesota in this game. Minnesota's a good team. But I think because of the intangibles that I just mentioned, I think you give Wisconsin the edge in this game. Nebraska and Iowa. This is another game, kind of the same thing. Iowa -5.5, 39.5 is the number. I would normally pick Iowa at home at night at Kinnick Stadium. I think Nebraska, like I said earlier, they're going to play free and easy. They don't have that must-win situation. They're not going to choke or tighten up because they got to get a win for a bowl eligibility. They already took care of that. I think they're going to be relaxed. I think they're going to enjoy this atmosphere. I take Nebraska. And again, we're down to a third-string walk-on quarterback for Iowa, but I've mentioned before, Iowa really doesn't ask a lot out of its quarterbacks. They just need them to throw for about 85 yards and let Caleb Johnson do the rest. I think this will be a close game, but I'll give the edge to Nebraska and definitely take the over. 39.5. We've learned our lesson this year. We used to always take unders with Iowa football, not this year. Michigan at Ohio State. Here's what's going to happen here. All right, -21. I think that Michigan will have a little bit of success running, and I think their defensive front will do a good job. And I think they could kind of muck this up a little bit to keep it close for a while. And that's why I think Ohio State wins, but not by the 21. Now, the other thing can happen. Ohio State could get on a roll. They play with a vengeance. Ryan Day likes to run up the score on everybody. He especially wants to make a statement against Michigan. So if this gets out of hand and they have the ability, maybe Ohio State covers this 21. I think Michigan's going to be motivated enough to fight them and keep this close. That's a lot of points for a rivalry game. I know it's happened before. I like the over, 42.5. Illinois is at Northwestern. That hook bothers me, 7.5. I can see Illinois winning this game by 7. Illinois has close games. Illinois will win this game, but let's take these points, 7.5. That might be too much. And I would definitely go over 43.5. I think that will fly past that. All right, what else we have here? Let's take a look. Maryland at Penn State. Yeah, Penn State minus 24.5. I think they'll cover that one. I think they're that much better than Maryland. And because of it, I think they'll fly past the number at 15.5 because Maryland will put a couple points. They'll put some points on the board too, even though Penn State's defense is good. Notre Dame at Southern Cal. Notre Dame is a 7.5 point favorite here, 51.5. I think Notre Dame is playing as well as anybody in the country right now. All week long, I wanted to take USC and some sort of upset here. Notre Dame can't fool around. They got a playoff bid at stake. They're going to come ready to play. And USC has been underwhelming. I'll give Notre Dame the win, and they will cover the 7.5 and go over the over because USC will score. This will go past 51.5. Rutgers at Michigan State. I think Michigan State's motivated, minus 1.5 at home. I think Michigan State wins. I think it's a close game. I think it's a 3 to 7 point game, though. Michigan State covers. I think that number's about right at 47.5, maybe even a little bit. Let's take the under on that one. And then Fresno State at UCLA. UCLA minus 8. Fresno does a lot of things well. 8 seems like a lot. That's a weird number. So UCLA may win. I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm going to take Fresno. I'm going to take Fresno and the over at 46.5. There you have it. I'm on the record. Those are my picks. What do you think? Hit me up with comments on YouTube and let me know. Do PigSkin Picks every Friday. Pretty soon we'll be doing basketball picks, right? All right. Lots going on. Hope you're going to enjoy your rivalry weekend, a continuation of your Thanksgiving weekend. Again, live here right after the Washington-Oregon game on Saturday night, and then back at it Monday with more. By then, we'll know for sure about the Big Ten championship game, who Oregon will play, and we'll be a week closer to college football playoffs. We got you covered for all things Big Ten right here. Tell your friends about us. I know you're going to be together with a lot of friends and family for the Thanksgiving weekend. Let them know we're out here each and every day. And then tell them to hit our website for Black Friday savings on school merchandise. In the meantime, many ways for you to react with us: Twitter, X, at Talk Big Ten, the website, talkbig10.com, and the comments on YouTube. Get those going. Those are always fun. Be sure to subscribe and follow this podcast right now, if you don't mind, on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. That'll do it for us. Thank you for spending some time with us here today. Can't wait till we do it all over again. I'm Craig Shemon for Locked On Big Ten. Talk to you next time.